really appreciate it. It is an honor to join
Yeah,
you guys this what I say raining afternoon in
I
Columbus.
know.
Really, what an honor. Okay, I
Mm,
don't take this very lightly on two fronts
mm,
because first of all, I'm talking to God's people,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which as a pastor is very cherished, and then also, as you said, I am a financial advisor by profession.
Mm.
So, just to give you a little bit of a background on that, I got in the finance industry 21 years ago,
Oh
out
boy.
of college. And so I manage, right now, I have a practice in Columbus with my partners. We have a staff of about 15 people, and our group is actually called the TSG Advice Partners. Okay, so we have a website. You can check us out there.
Yes, we wonder why we are paying our tithes. We are giving all these offerings. We are offering to do different projects in church, and still we don't seem to be going ahead financially in the things that we should be. You would have thought we should be the more blessed among the group of people that we meet, but it's not always the same, like the case. So what are we doing wrong, and how do we do better with our money, to be able to win financially, to be able to get to that place as Christians that we don't have to overthink to be a blessing. We don't have to overthink about future, the future of our kids. And what are we doing wrong? You have been doing this for a while. What are we doing wrong?
So let me speak from a financial advisor standpoint.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons why I even got into this business was
Mm,
because way back in 2000, I realized that a lot of Christians have access to
mm,
the blessings of God,
yeah.
but something about the decrees from God in the Bible were not translating to financial prosperity for the believers.
Mm,
And frankly, I'm sorry, but I'll go into meetings, and there were all sorts of unbelievers who were coming to my office to meet with me, and they had money,
yeah.
and believers who were supposed to have money and all the decrees in the Word of God were
Mm,
frankly broke. So I sought out to figure out why this is, and there's only one reason.
wow.
It's not a secret. It is what it is. It is actually your ability to save.
Wow.
That's it. Listen,
Mm.
listen. Let me go pastoral here, then I'll come back to the finance side. I have the Bible right here.
Right.
I read it. Tithing is something that gives you heavenly decree and declarations over your life. If
Right.
you think about it, when Abraham did the tithe, God never gave him money. God gave him a declaration.
Yeah.
So the tithing is what releases in the heavenlies, right? A declaration for you to be blessed.
Mm.
But guess what? The only thing that is going to convert the blessing into material manifestation in your hand is something called work.
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 Mm.
Now, please hear me out. When Adam sinned, Adam was in a realm where he had close fellowship with God,
Yeah.
and Adam was in a realm where all his provisions were met.
Mm-hmm.
After he sinned, listen to this. The consequence of sin was we had to what? Work.
You have to work.
And we also had to seek out our own salvation with fear and trembling. So there were two consequences. After the sin, you work and you seek out God.
Mm.
Now, he makes the decree that you are blessed, but you have to work for the blessing to materialize. Case in point, if Jacob, who was the carrier of the covenants of Abraham, had not worked under Laban, he will still be alive today with a decree over his life, but still broke.
Mm.
Jacob worked.
Mm.
He worked for Laban for a while and realized I can even go further than what Laban. So he reorganized and reconfigured his agreement with Laban, and then he was blessed and he had resources.
Mm.
So here's the problem. Christians have the decree. They what? Some of us are working.
Yeah.
But the problem is that some of us are not saving.
Mm.
Please hear me well. After 21 years of being in this industry, call me whatever you want to call. If you are not saving, you won't have money.
Mm.
It has nothing to do with God. God is blessing us all the time. You
Wow.
don't save. There is no substitute.
There's no substitute.
Tina,
We
if you
can't
don't
make
save, you won't have,
confessions.
huh?
We can't make confessions and it will
No,
be
it won't.
blessed.
It won't work. If you don't save, you won't have money. There's nothing else to say.
Hmm.
So the one thing that the devil will do is he will do everything in his power to make sure that you do not save.
Wow.
And the distractions, you talk about the devour for your sake. People talk about it will rebuke the devour for your sake.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask everybody who's listening to us on this call. Have you ever seen a demon manifest in your bank when you go to your bank and the demon is scaring people off from the bank?
No.
The devourer are things like, excess shopping.
Excess shopping.
The devours are things like I have to go and do some unnecessary project and all these kind of things, which basically devour, they waste the resources.
Waste. Yeah.
Listen, if you're not gathering, you're what?
Mm.
Scattering.
Mm.
So if God gives you the money and you're not gathering, you are
Wow.
scattering.
Mm.
You get it?
Yeah.
Okay. So key number one, save. Tina, there's nothing else to say but save.
Save.
Save. Now,
Mm.
now let me explain the concept to your viewers here. Please hear me out. Everybody goes to work,
Mm-hmm.
and you expect your CEO or the big boss, the MD, for those in Ghana, they call them MDs, right?
Right.
Okay. You expect him to be running a what? A solid, profitable business.
Yes.
You expect that business to be profitable at the end of the year with positive cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And you expect him to use that money they make in profit to either expand the business, to do buildings. I mean, you expect the business to grow. Am I lying?
Yeah.
The one mistake that people do as Christians is they don't see their family as a business.
You have to repeat that.
They don't see their family as a business.
Wow.
Listen, Tina, you and your husband are running a business.
I've never thought of it that way.
No,
I've never thought of it.
you are running a business. So you guys go to work, you make money, call that revenue, sales,
Wow.
right? When I'm at the shop, I sell milk or sardines or these things that we sell in Ghana, whatever we do in Ghana. The extent is you are selling something to generate revenue. Well, guess what we are selling as a business unit, as a family? We're selling our talent. So you sold your talent and you made revenue, right?
Yeah.
When you make the revenue, just like a business has expenses, they'll pay the light bill, they'll pay the electric bill, they'll pay for the chairs that you sit at the work, you will pay for your furniture, you pay for your TV. You have expenses. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But you are expecting the CEO of your job to make profit. So the question is, why aren't you looking at your household and asking yourself, are we a profitable business unit? Listen, my wife and I, we're running a business.
Are you serious?
Tina,
Because you have to slow down. You have to slow down. I think this one is too good for you to just go quickly. I think because this one is personal. Like I haven't thought of it this way. Like
every house you see on your street right now, if you want to see it as a place where they come and sleep, that's fine. But that is a business unit.
wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you look outside your window right now, all those houses are business units.
Amazing.
Money comes in, money goes out. Is it a profitable venture? If you're not profitable, at least in the US, you guarantee they'll kick you out of the out of your house.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So okay, so let me ask you something. If you are a business and you go to your CEO and you ask him, how did we do what this quarter? How did we do over the past 6 months? How did we do over the past year? You expect your CEO to have good accounting, good numbers, good statistics.
Yes.
You and your spouse, or even if you're single, sit down and look at your numbers
Oh my goodness.
and pinpoint, am I profitable or am I wasting? Right? So nobody listening to me would actually look at their business numbers and every time they see zero, negative, negative, zero, They will look at the business and say, this thing is not sustainable. I better change our jobs.
Yeah.
When you're there and you look at every year, your account zero, negative,
Oh,
this month zero. What is that telling you? You're on a path to destruction. The only way you can make it is to run a profitable household as a business unit and do something meaningful with the money that you generate.
wow.
So,
Wow.
so we need to first of all, start thinking about the money thing as it's a business.
This is too good. And this is even, I should even say this is a revelation, at least for me,
Yeah.
because it's just, I mean, I haven't thought of it that way before.
You're a business.
So a lot of us are not running profitable businesses because we've been in the US for 10 years, for 15 years, and family cash is, credit card, 5,000, allowance. And some of us, I mean, I'll just stop.
So you're a business. All right. So let me explain something very careful here. Listen, I'm sure you've had other people who might have talked about finance on this broadcast. And we should be all, listen to me, be educated.
Yeah.
What I specialize in is I am the one who's educated. I'm the professional who went to school for finance. I'm the one who's educated. But where people find value in my business services is I help them improve their EQ, not their IQ.
What's the difference?
IQ is your intelligence quotient. Everybody listening to me has common sense. Oh, I have to save. Yeah. I'll see a bossicano. We all say it. It'll see dachi, whatever. Okay. Everybody has the intelligence quotient that they need to do better with their money. Where everybody falls short is what the EQ, which is the execution quotient.
Execution quotient.
They don't do it. They don't do it.
Yeah.
Right? They don't execute. So I can sit here and say, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I need to eat salad. I need to eat better. I need to stop eating Big Macs. I need to stop eating greasy food. I am educated.
Yeah.
Execution is, can I go to the gym and lift the weights? And listen to me, if you don't have the motivation, please, for the sake of your own health, pay the guy who will let you do the sit-ups.
You're preaching good.
So
this is not preaching, but it feels like,
yes. So Tina, listen to this. If you want to improve your finances, you need to improve your finances, but you know you're bad at the finances. Why aren't you paying, frankly, a financial advisor to execute? It's been 15, 20 years, 10 years. You know you're bad at it. You know you're bad at it. Pay the guy. Okay, let me ask you something. When your car breaks down, any of us even waste time to try to fix the car in our garage?
No.
You just pay the mechanic. Oh yeah, but yeah, didn't go. When you are there and your teeth hurt, you don't even try to go and read a book to try to figure out how to fix your teeth. You just say, dentist, Mr. Fix it and let me move on. So why is it that when finances, right, you are dying and you know that it's been years and you are dying, your business is not profitable, you simply can't go find somebody like me and say, Oga, help me. It's the execution quotient.
It's the execution. Ps Alvin, let me ask you something, because I think this is one thing that you just said that I think really is important that we even dwell on and try to unpack it a bit so people get insight into it. How much on average does it cost to have a financial advisor? Because I think because that is a black hole, a lot of us think that, oh, it's so expensive. I mean, I can do it myself. Let me just try and do it. And, somebody's going to spend my money. And how much on average? And it may not be whatever, but generally.
Let's just use general. A financial advisor might call you. I'm using general metrics, okay? Yeah. A financial advisor might cost you, let's just say 1% of your assets. Okay. So if you have $100,000, they'll cost you with maybe 1,000.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you a question. The value proposition is, how much can he make you?
Yeah.
So if I'm paying 1% to make 15, is that a good deal?
Yeah.
Any day.
Any day.
So stop focusing on the cost and concentrate on the value
The
that the
value.
person might generate for you. Okay, let me ask you something. Every one of us watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, what does the TV do for you? You watch it and you get entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You place value on it. But is the TV helping you to save money? No.
No.
The only person in the world who will force you to execute and save money is the financial advisor.
Wow.
So is it an investment or is it an expense? If you ask me,
It's an investment.
an investment.
Yeah.
Now let me go terms here. Listen, God is sitting in heaven. I'm speaking as a pastor here.
Mm.
Listen, in my church, Soul Restoration Ministry, you pay your tithe, but you better believe I am forcing them to save money.
Mm.
I don't play. If you're a church member, you can ask KK and those guys who are my church members. I sit them down. Oh yeah, you better put money away. You claim you're a child of God, JJJJJ child of God. God says 10%. Why aren't you wise to say, you know what, at least I need to put 10% away? God didn't say it's a sin, did he? God is using 10% to run his kingdom. Why,
Oh.
why can't why can't you use 10% to run your business? No, I'm serious. Let me. I'm very passionate about this thing because as pastors, right? I'm speaking as a pastor. We get the bad rap.
Mm-hmm.
All we said was pay your tithe.
Yeah. And offerings.
Because you don't save, you see, all of a sudden it's almost like the pastor is spending your money. No. So I have taken it upon myself to go the extra step. Like, listen, in my church, you're gonna do your tithe. I can't force you, but you will save because 15, 20, 30 years from now, you're not gonna come around here and tell me that God disappointed you. You better be saving.
Wow.
No, save. Why does the unbeliever have more money than you? Tina, why?
Because they are saving. Yeah.
And you're not.
And I'm not. So, Ps Alvin, I think right there, I need to ask you this. So here's a case that, again, we've been in church for a long time. We haven't had it being put this way.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, God is using, like you just said, God is using 10% to run his kingdom. And he's giving you your kingdom. And we just talked about the kingdom man and the kingdom woman a few months ago, right? So we are already poised for this conversation around kingdom finances. Now, how do we manage our families as businesses? And here we are, we have no money to run the finances, the affairs of the business, but we are putting money away to the tithe. And actually, you said something some time ago when we talked. You said, as a Christian, you don't even have the full paycheck.
No.
You don't.
You
Speak
don't.
to that one, because I think that is helpful.
All right. So this is what I mean by you don't have a full paycheck. When I go get employment,
Yeah.
and let's just say they decide they will pay me $100,000 a year.
Mm.
I, as a Christian, don't think I'm making 100,000. I'm thinking I make 90.
Yeah.
So my decisions are on 90.
Oh my goodness.
So can I make the 90,000 profitable? Now, remember, profit is the bottom line.
Yeah.
And I'll show you guys some money ratios by Charles Farrell. I'll show you guys this thing here in a second. It's profitability.
Mm.
So profitability is, you know what? No matter this 90,000, I have to squeeze $9,000 out of it every year to put away. So if you think about it, I made 100. I'm a Christian, so I'll look at it as I have 90.
Mm.
Business owner, household business, running a business, I look at it and I say, I'm making decisions on what? 81.
Oh my goodness.
What did I say? So what did God say? He says, when you get paid, pay your tithe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are mimicking God, and we claim we are created in his image and likeness, then if God automatically said tithe, go, Why aren't you saying that the profitability of my business, the moment I make the 90 that is remaining,
Let's go.
10% go. And it's for the future. Go. So my decision is based on what? 81. So the 81 has to now contain my what? My mortgage, my car, my children, my food, my clothes, my whatever. Because I know that right off the bat, the 10 is gone. But this is how a lot of us think. You tell me 100.
Yeah.
They go and do their lifestyle on the 100. Then after they pay their tithe, they realize that already I'm struggling. And then it becomes a problem. Now I'm going to say this very carefully. If you are a kingdom member, please hear me very well. Hear me passionately well. You are a believer making 100. The unbeliever is also making 100. By virtue of you being a believer and you are committed to the oracles of God, you have less to spend than the unbeliever.
Truth.
They just have $10,000 more than you do. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you're trying to keep up with that guy, remember, this guy has $10,000 more to spend than I do because he doesn't tithe. Now, I want to invest that $10,000 in the kingdom because I get to pray, I get to advance the kingdom, and it's my way of investing into true riches, which is in the heavens. But for now, on earth, it's my reasonable sacrifice. Didn't we all talk about sacrificing for God? So I'm going to sacrifice the 10. God, I bless you. I take it. I know in heaven I'll receive my reward. But for the remaining 90,000, I have to manage it so that I can do what this unbeliever can do.
Amazing.
So, I mean, I'm looking at myself personally. I can afford to go and, for example, maybe buy a 2023 Mercedes-Benz with all the whistles. Right? So if I live with an unbeliever, they will go and buy it because they have an extra $10,000.
Yeah.
I will realize, you know what, I can't hang because I invest in the kingdom of God. So I'll go and buy the same Mercedes-Benz, but maybe I'll buy 2019 so that I can still save my $9,000 for my future because I want to run a profitable business. Oh, listen, listen to me, please. I'm not bashing Christians, but listen, you can come to my office. I'll sit down with you and show you all the believers, all the unbelievers, and you and I can do the math themselves. They are not believers, but they have money because of one reason: they save. Nothing else to say. They save.
They save.
Wow.
Wow. I think this breakdown is really eye-opening as well. I think we are getting revelation after revelation. So we have been working, a lot of us, I mean, I being one of them, I've been working with the mind of, if you are making 50,000, you have 50,000.
No, you don't.
Even though you are giving your tithes every week and every time you are paid, we think we have 50,000.
You're just answering the question of how much your employer pays you. But you're making 45. And if you want to be profitable, well, you know what? You only have 40 to spend. Okay.
See, and I think that's one thing yesterday I was saying that we don't have to look at the Joneses, because you don't know their situation and you don't even know if they believe or not. So you
don't know their situation. You're right.
Yeah. You can't keep comparing yourself to everybody in your neighborhood and thinking that, oh, even if we all work in the same company, we are different because the things I believe, and not even only the tithe I'm giving, but the offerings that I'm also giving, it's taking another chunk of my paycheck. So that is something I have to be intentional about. And why not? That is even why we should be hiring the professionals to help us to win.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Remember, it's not on this call. Once again, the IQ, I think people know it. People, they have to invest, they have to save money, they get all that. The problem is the EQ. Execution. And what I mean by the EQ is that you don't have anybody who is literally, as an EQ, right, helping you basically, what would I say, hold you accountable.
Accountable.
Right? There's nobody holding you accountable. There's nobody coaching you. Nobody there who is helping you to focus on what you need to do to get the outcome that you want. So if you think about a business, right? Yeah. The CEO is held accountable by a board, right? And then, okay, they look at the business and they might say, you know what, our issue isn't maybe revenue. Our issue is that we're spending too much money on this marketing. So let me cut out the marketing budget. We need to spend some more money on technology. They run a business.
They run a business.
So how are you running the business?
Oh my goodness. I think you should walk us through. So now that we are starting to grasp this concept of our families being a business, even the kingdom of God being a business, that is so, important. Like, we are investing into the kingdom. We are investing into, when we pay our tithe, we are actually investing into the kingdom of God. Yeah. Now that we are looking at our families as well as businesses, how do we run our families? Okay. I know that we talk about budgets, but really,
let me do this for you, okay? Mm-hmm. Let me give you this definition. Everybody listening to me, just remember this definition. H.E.N.R.Y. 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 Okay. It's a term that was coined around 2008 when Obama, around that time, okay, Fidelity, who we custodian with, was doing some research, and this H.E.N.R.Y. thing came up in the world of finance. It's our jargon. So let me tell you what H.E.N.R.Y. is. H.E.N.R.Y. is high earners, not rich yet. H.E.N.R.Y.
Not rich yet.
High earners, not rich yet. H.E.N.R.Y.
Wow.
Now, let me tell you who a H.E.N.R.Y. is. And once again, I'm in the US. So this term describes somebody who has a high income, right? Usually they make anywhere from about $250,000 to about $50,000 to $500,000. Let's just take that. High income, $250,000. Maybe you make $100,000. Your wife makes $100,000. You're high. You're there. Yeah. Okay. But they haven't saved enough or invested enough to be considered rich. Think about how many people are H.E.N.R.Y.s. They make good money. But they're not rich. Okay. Now you're gonna get rich over time. Yeah. You're gonna get rich over what time?
Over time.
Now, most of the H.E.N.R.Y. guys, right? They spend their income on consumer spending, education costs, and housing. That's what a lot of these H.E.N.R.Y. guys do. So, funny enough, when it comes to marketing, companies like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all these guys,
all the brand names,
guess who they target as their main focus?
Customers.
H.E.N.R.Y.s.
Oh my goodness.
You never see shiny malls in the ghetto. You see them in the suburbs. I go to Ghana. I don't see the mall, let's just say, in some Tunga areas. Okay, those of you who are familiar with Accra. You don't see the mall in, let me just say, some area. But you see the mall in Legon.
Yeah.
So in Ghana, where are the H.E.N.R.Y.s? The H.E.N.R.Y.s are in airport. Airport, East Legon, Trasacco, you know, that thing there. That's where the H.E.N.R.Y.s are.
Wow.
High earners, not rich yet.
High earners.
H.E.N.R.Y.s. Now, let me keep going here. Okay. In the US, at least, the definition of somebody who is rich. Take a guess. How much net worth do you have to be considered rich in the US? Take a guess.
500,000.
Oh my gosh, no way. 1.9 million.
1.9. 1.9
million.
I'll be there.
Amen. Amen, Tina. Amen. Okay. So to be considered rich, according to the surveys, they are thinking 1.9 million.
Wow.
Okay. But to be considered, let me put it this way, but to be considered upper income class, it's a household of $120,000. Let's face it, some of people listening to me, maybe the Americans, those who live in America listening to me, let's just say you are in your 40s. I'm just using general numbers, okay? I'm not making an assumption here, but it's very typical that a lot of, if you're a professional in the US, and let's just say you and your spouse, you know, been working for some 10, 15 years, I'm just using general numbers. Yeah. You're probably, let's just hope and say that you're probably making more, at least 150 or more. So if you're a pharmacist or whatever you are, you're making 80,000 and your husband is also making 80,000. Listen, according to US definition, you're an upper income class.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're getting close to that H.E.N.R.Y. thing. Okay, I'm not far-fetched. So Henry makes a lot of money, but they don't understand they have to be a profitable business. Now
Mm.
I'm going to share a spreadsheet. Okay, and then I want us to just use this as an example. All right, there's an author called Charles Farrell, and he wrote a book called Your Money Ratios, and I'm just using this as a template so you guys just see where I'm going with this. Okay,
Okay.
now so here I'm gonna put. Do you see my spreadsheet that I'm showing?
Yep.
Okay, and full disclosure, this is not me doing some amazing thing here. This is just I've just put a spreadsheet together based on the money ratios. I'm just showing it to you guys. That's all. All right.
Okay.
Listen very carefully. You see here that I show somebody who's making $250,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tina. Okay, let's just be generous here. How much do you think I should use as an income so that we reflect a broader, you know?
I think let's do 120.
Okay, let's do 120. So we're gonna do 120 here. You
Mm-hmm.
see 120,000.
Yeah.
So if I sat down with somebody in my office making 120,000, okay, I'm gonna look at their age or the average of the couple's age. So let's just say Tina and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Tina is 50 and basically her husband is, let's just say 60. I'm just using that for easy math. I'll
Yeah.
look at 60 plus 50, I get 110, right? 110 and I divide that by 2, I'm looking at age 55 or something, right?
Mm.
That's the age, right? So I'm looking at it and I'm saying if they're making $120,000 and the average age between Tina and her husband is 55, the first question I'm looking at is, do they have about $852,000 saved?
Hey.
No, because you've been working for almost 30 years since you left school. This is a profitable business here because we are hoping you've been profitable and been putting away money. You know how the Bible says, here a little, there a
Very
little.
little. Yeah.
You know that, hey, that is the faith of a mustard seed and then it grows. This is the growth, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is the growth.
Someone gave the smiley face of like, I gave up.
No, but think about it. What is the growth? Right?
No, it's good. It's good to let's go through it. Yeah.
You'll be the father of many nations. How many children were in Sarah's womb? One.
One.
And then think about the expansion capacity. One.
Mm.
Isaac had twins. Then Jacob had what? 12.
Yeah.
Then the 12 had, and then it became an S curve expansion unit. To right now we have billions. So your
Wow.
seed was okay. You were making 120, and you guys got out of college. I'm just using the number. So at that point, if you've been working for 1 year and you're 25 years old, I'll ask and see, do you have $12,000 saved? 5 years, I come back and I'm going to ask, do you have $72,000 saved? 10 years, I'll look at it and say, do you have $288,000 saved? Okay. At age 55, okay, Tina, we're getting close to retirement now. Do you have about $852,000 saved? By the time you hit 65, I'm looking at 1.4 million.
Oh, wow.
Right? So
Yeah.
if you think about a profitable business, we're growing, we're expanding, you have metrics. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just the accumulation side. Now let's look at savings ratios. Savings is how much you're putting away.
Mm.
So I'm expecting this couple to be putting away at least 12%.
12%.
Over time. And then as they get to 45, I'm thinking at 45. Okay, so Tina, do you have children?
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
Oldest will be 14 next month.
Okay, let's just say that you had your kid. No, actually, you had your kid 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe let's just say you had your kid when your kid was you're in your mid-20s. I don't know, you got out of school and you had your kid. So let's just say you were 25 when you had your kid, just using that.
Yeah.
By the time your kid hits 20 and is out of college, or 22 when he's out of college, you're in your mid-40s.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying? That is why you see that at age 45, I bump up the savings to what? 15% from 12.
Mm.
Because we're assuming that now the kids are gone. You have less food to buy at the house. You can do more. You get my point. It's just metrics.
Yeah. Right.
Now we kick it up from 14 to what? 18. And you're saving. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the mortgage to the income ratio, we're also trying to pay off your debts.
Right.
Okay. So at that point, you, wouldn't you like to have $1.4 million in your account? Now you're getting close to that rich definition
Yeah.
in your golden years.
Yeah. So, Ps. Alvin, does this include 401
Yes,
savings as
yes.
well?
Good question. Because that savings ratio I'm talking about includes how much you're putting into what? Your 401k, maybe how much you're putting into your regular investment account, maybe how much you're putting into an education fund for your children. It's your savings, right?
Okay.
So if you think about a business model, right? I want you to think about this. If you think about a business model, okay, when your CEO makes profit, money, sika, at the end of the business year,
Mm-hmm.
they can decide they're going to take the money to buy a bigger building, the money
Right.
to invest in technology, the money to put in the bank, whatever they do. So the savings ratio is your profit that you're putting away in buckets.
Mm.
Listen, let me tell you something about money. It's currency. It flows.
Yeah.
If I a current, think about even the mighty ocean. The mighty okay, think about the river Pra or wherever you are, river, whatever you are. If you don't give the river a channel, a path, it will flood and destroy.
Mm.
So money is what? Another word for money is what? Currency.
Currency.
If you don't give the current a flow, because you see what happens is that when the water doesn't have a path,
Mm.
it just floods, and then a few days later, what? It just goes back into the earth.
Yeah.
So that it was just a waste.
That is such a powerful analogy.
Okay. So with currency, money, if you give it a direction, ah, but if you just sit there, you're not profitable, and you just let the money kind of sit around, it will just go right back.
Mm.
It's a flow. So if I flow it into my 401k, if I flow it into my SNIT, if I flow it into my pension, you know what I mean? If I
Yeah.
flow it,
Yeah.
it will gather there.
Mm.
And in the
Amazing.
US, there's a big flow that is happening.
Yeah.
Every day you hear about it, but it's just noise.
Mm.
Flow. It's a 700 and probably, I don't even know the total valuation right now, but it's probably like an $800 trillion river
Whoa.
called the stock exchange.
Mm.
Name it: Apple, Amazon. Okay, I'm looking at Tina's house and I'm trying to see. She probably shopped at Macy's. She probably did her makeup with Sephora or Mac. She probably bought her shoes from one of these shops. And all these companies that you're shopping, Coke, you probably drank Coke today. You go out and you'll have fun at some restaurant, maybe Cheesecake Factory or Applebee's or whatever you do. All these people have a river.
Mm.
Come and flow with us. That river is called the stock exchange.
Wow.
But you know what? As much as possible, as much as we are praying, God is also looking at us and saying, follow the channels.
Yeah. Mm.
So
Follow the channel.
you see my spreadsheet. Did that make sense?
It makes sense. It
Listen,
makes sense.
no, I promise you this, and I'm saying this as a pastor, so please hear me. Okay? No amount of tongues. Oh, sorry.
Tongues and fasting.
Okay? No amount of tongues and fasting will cause money to walk into your bank if you are not working.
Mm.
Everybody is working. Everybody is worshiping.
Mm.
So you have to be able to optimize that work and make sure that you're profitable.
Mm.
It's just the way it is. There's no secret. Well, that is the secret, I guess. Okay, one thing I tell my church members is quit thinking abstract. You know, some idea be, oh, thinking abstract. Any bank. That's it.
You just remind me of what something Dave Ramsey said. He said there's a place you go when you are broke. It's called work. You go there. That is what, and that is true, because a lot of us are waiting and waiting, and we prayed and we prayed, and there's nothing like a work that is beneath us or above us. I think that is a concept that sometimes we also lose out on as Christians, because when we haven't had the big opportunity for us to work or whatever dream job we are looking for, we don't take whatever comes or presents itself. And you see, you're missing out on all the things that you could do with even the little work and what it can generate. Yeah.
Do you know who sanctioned work? Who sanctioned work?
God did. God did.
So work. And then when you work and you make money, do what? Save. And if you know you're bad at it, find an advisor who will help you save. So this is what I do, right? At least for my church members, at least those who will listen to me. What I do is I say, hey, you're working. Thank God. You're paying your tithe. Priority number one, thank God. We're going to pay yourself. So once you get paid, your tithe is gone. Your profit margin is going to be saved, whether you like it or not. It's the discipline. That's just the way it is. Right?
Yeah.
So if you fast and fast and fast, what is the worst thing that can happen? When you open your bank account, you realize you have money.
Yeah. How
hard is that? Or you know what? You go into your 401k and you realize, oh my God, I have money in there. How hard is that? Don't you prefer that problem?
Yeah. But Alvin, I think one thing you just said, this concept of paying ourselves.
Yes.
After we paid our tithes and we've given our offerings, I still think that we struggle with that concept because we don't save. And sometimes as Christians, we are just waiting for the next project in church to come and to give, but we have not done the paying ourselves. And it's so hard for us to, it's almost like we feel like, oh, we are being selfish if we pay ourselves, if we put some money aside. And so I tell people, plan your giving. And it looks like, oh, we have to plan giving. Yes, plan your giving and give. Is that wrong?
Yeah, okay, let me ask you something. If savings was a lack of faith, then let me ask a question. Why did Joseph in the Bible, how did Joseph save the world from a famine, global famine? When there was plenty, he said everybody put 25%, a quarter in the coffee. He put it in the coffers.
Yeah.
And then when the 7-year famine came, he said, everybody come to me for what? Corn. And when he realized that the people were struggling, he said, give me your lands for the corn. And he expanded the territories of Egypt. Now, let me ask you another question. David was a king. How did he build the temple? He worked. He was a soldier. What was David's job? Conquering.
Yeah.
So he went beat up on the Philistines, and then he would get their gold. And what did he do? Saved it. So he said, Solomon, here's all the gold. Build a temple.
Amazing.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Save. You just gotta save. I mean, there's nothing else to say.
The long and short of it is we've got to save.
Tina, save. I didn't know Nisika. When save? What else should I say?
But I gave it to the kingdom, like.
And didn't God replenish by giving you a good work?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me blow your mind. Let me blow your mind. Everybody listening to me, I promise you, you will be a millionaire, or let's just say $1 million will pass through your hands by the time you're probably 55. So let's just say you are in the US and you and your family, your business, you start off, you're making 50,000, your wife, she's making 50,000, so you're 100,000, right?
Yeah.
In 10 years, how much money has passed through your hands?
100,000, 10 years. Hey,
How
yeah,
much?
1 million.
So you started at 25.
Mm.
100,000. So by 35, how much has passed through your hands? 1 million. By
Hey,
45, how much money has passed through your hands?
2 million, even maybe more if I got an increase.
How much money has passed through your hands? 3 million. By 65, 4 million. So can you really tell God, I didn't bless?
Mm. It's how we channel the currency.
How did you channel the currency?
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, I think this is really important stuff for us to hear. This is something that we need to think about, we need to act upon.
And to Christians listening to you, too much thinking. Act. Yeah. Why do you? You know you need to save. Save.
Okay,
Enough.
stop thinking and act.
Just act. Just first can you go home? What's there? Okay, after all I've said, what's there to think again?
Yeah.
The last guy came and said the thing. I like I'm saying, the intelligence quotient is big. It's the execution. Just act.
So I have a question for you, Ps Alvin. Is it good for a Christian to have a credit card?
Listen, I'll answer this question very maturely. Very maturely. Please hear me. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, then don't get into the credit card thing.
I agree.
Now, let me ask you something. If I go and get a credit card and the credit card has a 0 balance or 2% charge, right? But then I can take my money and go and put it in the stock market, which year to date is up 14%. What should I do with my money? Tina, what should I do with my money?
Yeah, you should take the offer that you have and then put it out there. Yeah.
Make money.
Make money.
I make my money, and when the bill is due, I'll knock it off. So I'm going to be honest with you. I have a credit card, but I mean, come on, man. We're trying to make money on this side of the world. So if you ask me, do I have a credit card? I do. It's just one side of the balance sheet.
It's one side of it. And I like the fact that you don't get into it when you're living paycheck to paycheck, because that is where we get the issues. It's like, oh, I'm going to pay it, I'm going to pay it, I'm going to pay it. And then you get into debt more. But when you don't really need to, you don't need it. Honestly, you don't need it. It's just more of a opportunities when it comes along.
You're using somebody's money to your advantage. If I have money and my money is sitting in the stock exchange or some investment making 20%, and I have this annoying credit card here and they're bugging me every month, they're charging me 3%. Listen, I will gladly give them their minimum payment. Pay my interest percent of 3 and take my money and go and make 15.
Yeah.
When the 15% slows down, I'll be like, okay, credit card. Yeah, I mean, baby. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So where you are determines how you can use debt.
Where you are determines how you can use debt. I like that.
You can use it to your advantage. Absolutely. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Any other questions?
Can you talk about those who feel they earn too little to save?
Okay. So let's talk about that again. They earn too little to save. Once again, relative. Budget. Right? Tina, you don't have to make $100,000 before you can save. Who said that?
No. You
can make 20,000, and if you are determined every year I'll put 1,000 away, you would discipline.
Yes, that's the word.
No such thing as I make too little to save. It's the choices you will make so you can save. Yeah. See, I make 10,000. You have no business going to Macy's. Right?
Yep.
Go to Ross or one of these TJ Maxx places there, and instead of buying it for $50, go and buy it for $20 on discount.
Absolutely.
Right? So let's get out of the mindset that I make too little to save.
It's a mindset. There
is an animal, you see, I love God for this reason. God is a mastermind, and he doesn't leave himself without any, what would I say? He doesn't leave himself without any evidence. There's a small animal in this world which does so much more than all the animals above the ground. It's called an ant.
Yeah.
Look at the productivity of the ant, how they can master
Productivity.
look at how they master the seasons.
Wow.
An ant.
An ant.
Look at the size of an ant, whoever is asking that question. But look at the productivity of that ant. So what I'm trying to say to encourage that person is where you're starting from. He that is faithful in little is faithful in much. Prove to God that even if he's paying you $1,000 a year, you are even willing to try to save $5 a year.
Wow.
Just try it. You can do something.
Yeah.
You can do something.
Hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can strive to do something. I don't care. You can do something.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing that can happen is you save and then something happens, but at least at this time when something happens, you're using the little money you save to take care of it. You're not going into debt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You break the cycle of the debt.
And I think to add to that, I also feel like sometimes maybe culturally it doesn't help us much the way that we also think, because we are very relational, and sometimes that doesn't help us in our savings, right? Because when we save the money, then we have someone reaching out, oh, my brother's wife or my sister's husband needs some money, and we feel so obligated, as Christians and as whatever, blacks or whatever, to give the money away.
And let me help people think differently about that. And I mean it. Please hear me out. When Jesus Christ came into the world, were people sick?
Yeah.
Were people broke?
Yeah.
Were people sinning?
Sure.
For 30 years, he said no. And then when finally he felt like he had the capacity, he said, now the Son of God is revealed in Luke chapter 4. And then he started his ministry. So one of the hardest things to do, but it's a very, very, very godly character, is the ability to say no when you just can't, or it's not your time. So when you have $1,000 and all the phone calls come, as much as possible, try to say no to, let me give you all the $1,000. Just tell the person, Charlie, Nana, all I can do is 100.
That's it.
That's what I can do. It's not that I love you, I don't love you. It's just because you know what happens is when you give the 1,000 to that person and you go down, you can't even call that person.
No.
Right? So then you become bitter, and then all of a sudden we get into a whole lot of sin, and quarrels, and families don't talk to each other because of $1,000. So simple, auntie.
You're helping us.
That please, the beti mi ayeni. Say biba mi the bebe. That person also has a creative power in them. Try to do something. It's amazing what people can do when they realize that it's a no.
Sure.
So we have to get strong in that.
Yeah.
Because
you don't have anyone.
Right? So as much as possible, do what you can. And the advice I give people is this: do what you can, such that if the person who is borrowing from you is not able to pay you back, you don't get bitter.
Truth.
So if you have $1,000 and I know that by giving this 20, if I don't get the 20 back in the next year, I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
And your capacity is the 20. Just go with that. The person can never say you were not willing to help. Give me to me any. This is what I can do.
Very true. I think that is great wisdom, because I have personally been bent out with that one a couple of times, where you feel like, oh, you're obligated, you have to give, you have to do, then you give, and then it's like now become a whole issue, and either the relationship is a mess or it's just not worth it. And it's wisdom.
Yeah. So Tina, simple, Charlie, 10,000 now. Your 10,000 you want, I don't have it. So I'll tell you what, I'll give you what I can to support the cause. And please try to find somebody else who can help you. But just understand that I did my part.
Yeah.
And feel good about it.
Feel good about it.
You did your part. Amen. I hope that person was.
Amen. I think that's a good one as we go. I think, do you have another question? So our time is up. Just give me a few minutes. I'm going to go through and see.
I have a few time if you need some time. Okay. So.
Okay.
Okay.
So it says that, what are some of the paths to channel your money? Stocks. You talked about stocks, but any other ways that?
Okay. So let me just go from level of simplicity to complexity. This is the order. This is the order of how it goes. All right. So once again, where you are determines what you can do. So traditionally, what people do is they save money in the bank.
Right.
Beyond the bank, when you want to take a risk now, after the bank, and you go into something we call CDs, certificates of deposits. In Ghana, we call it treasuries.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do that. Then after that, you start getting into the stocks and bonds, right? And then after the stocks and bonds, people start getting into, let me just say, people start getting into what I'll call real assets. So maybe they start doing real estate, right?
Yeah.
You put money in a house, people flip houses, all these things that people do. It's mortgage stuff, right?
Yeah.
You get there. And then after a while, some people even get bolder and they start saying they'll do what? Venture capital. So oh, Charlie, there's a business opportunity over here. I want to invest in it. Hopefully, it will, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a complexity chain. You go from savings to money market CDs, and then from there you get into the stock and the bond, and then from there you get into real assets, and then people get into venture capital. People get into what we call private equity. Right? You get into that side, and then you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. Now, all these assets that I'm talking about, right? If you have, for example, a job and they do 401k, get in the 401k.
Yeah.
Right? Beyond the 401k, we all watch TV. You see Charles Schwab, you see Fidelity, you see Vanguard, you see Merrill Lynch, you see Morgan Stanley. All those guys are rivers, are channels that God is pointing to you.
Wow.
The only way God speaks is not only on TBN and the religious channel. You can be watching TV, and you're saying, oh God, give me money, give me money, give me money, help me to make money. And then he will cause an advertisement of bank on the TV. That is also God.
Yeah.
God, I need money. And then he will show up, ping, and the TV will say, so invest your money wisely. That means get up. Anyway, you can understand that. Like I said, I'm a financial advisor. I have a practice. So it's such a passion. You have no idea. This money thing is such a passion for me. And I'm very grateful that you're educating people with this. Please, if you're hearing me, there's no secret. Say okay. Save. Okay. And if you can't admit it, find a financial advisor who will hold you accountable.
Right.
And just do it.
Do it.
The worst thing that can happen is you call them a few years and they tell you have money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just save, right? So please. And then number 2 is, remember what I said. Your household is a business.
It's a business.
You are running your business with your spouse and your children there. Watch the numbers.
Amazing.
And do everything you have to aspire to do to be profitable.
Yeah. Yeah. That is key. I think that is a great summary. God wants us to be profitable.
I'm looking at a masterpiece. Oh, you know how to fight.